Tulip goes to extremes to try and make up for the O'Hare curse. Jesse does his best to try and warn Cassidy about the truth of Angelville, and we find out why the Tombs is such an in-demand venue. The debt isn't paid until Grandma says it's paid. On this week's Preacher, Season 3, Episode 3. Gonna hurt. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of Preacher. So yes, of course, spoilers, they're coming. Alright, so we're in the thick of things, episode 3, and we are definitely in it at this point. Definitely getting weirder, getting stranger, getting more ass-kicky, everything we love from Preacher. So let's kick things off with, well, as the episode kicked off, Tulip trying to make up for the O'Hare curse, as was talked about and kind of reminded on this week. I loved the opening bit. I mean, again, just the energy of Preacher. The car going, the gas moving, squealing tires, Tulip running up, ready to kick some ass, going after the Grail man. She is gonna get Jesse's soul back. She screwed up last week. She's making up for it. She's going in. She's not coming back without it. Assuming, of course, they would be there to find. Which, of course, they're not. Poor janitor. Really didn't deserve getting hit by Tulip like that. But, yes, of course the Grail isn't there. Like Hairstar said last week, he's going to let Jesse stew. So, yeah, they have definitely packed up and headed out of town. So, that business card of the Grail secret organization, no longer really any good. Just a bunch of paper at this point. But that does lead us to the Allfather of all people. I have to say, I love how it transitioned in, how Tulip's radio started playing jazz, because that's why God's in town, that's why he's down on Earth. He's listening for the jazz. So I kind of loved how that sort of came over the radio, sort of announcing his presence. And yeah, still in the creepy dog outfit. Seriously, that guy pulling up on a Harley behind you with a girl in the back? Yeah, that's going to throw you off. And we get our face reveal. The Allfather, God himself, looking just like fake God from all the way back in Season 1. And that, well, Season 1 and 2, I suppose. End of Season 1 and throughout 2. The fake God who was hired to impersonate God. Now, did he hire somebody that just looks like him, or being God, can he just look like whoever he wants, and he chose to look like that guy to throw people off? I would go a little bit more to the latter. I figured God could look like whatever God wants to look like. Even a dog outfitted God. I'd have to say, it was kind of a messed up scene. I mean, it was cool, it was impressive, it was big, it was like, oh, it's God. But man, digging into Tulip like that was so wrong. Yes, I knew you were going to screw up. That's why I gave you the job. What did your parents call it? The O'Hare curse? I mean, seriously. Just digging in. I give people free will, but some people just make the right choices all the time, and some people don't. Really, that's how you're going to deal with it. That is not a kind God. That is not beneficial. Not sugarcoating it at all. In fact, kind of intentionally, seemingly poking at Tulip, which is not really a good choice to do. And I gotta say, that last little bit where he just reaches in the car and does that, just remember, I'm a loving God. That was creepy. And I loved how they held it for just that moment, why she sort of seemed like she was contemplating putting it all in, and then just the, you wipe that off. So yes, you have pushed Tulip, you have upset her, you brought the O'Hare curse. Yeah, she's gonna come up and call you out, God, and I don't think she's wrong. He is kind of coming off and making excuses about, I have a plan and you are not to question me, it's not your right to question me. That's not something you say to Tulip. Do not tell her what to do. And I think she is right in calling him out that he's down here, he's screwing around. He's in a dog outfit. He's driving a Harley. He's got a buxom blonde stacked up behind it. God is not down here coming up with a new plan, a new plan for a test for humanity. Pass, fail. I mean, even that's kind of all messed up. So, yeah. I gotta say, the Gandalf scene was kind of exciting. When he just started roaring, it was just like, "Do not tempt me, Bilbo Baggins," or whatever what the Gandalf said. That's exactly the same image that I got out of this. So he sheds his costume and just glows up. Oh, then boom, hits with the staff. It's exactly it. It's exactly the same type of thing. Trying to scare Tulip, who doesn't scare easily. So, yes, of course Tulip is going to kick God's ass. And I have to say, I did love the little flash scene when she was talking with Jesse afterwards about her intention of what to do to God. That was a great scene also. But is she right? And I think she is. Is God scared of Genesis? Because Jesse's right. I mean, God is going to Tulip, not to Jesse. Jesse is the one looking for God. Why not just go directly to Jesse unless that's who he's trying to avoid? He doesn't want to be found. Can Genesis command God? And does he not want to be? Will it send him back into heaven? If you command him to go back to heaven, will he have to go back into heaven? Or will he be forced to give answers maybe God doesn't want to do, doesn't want to give? So I think there's a lot of validity to that idea, to that concept. The other, of course, is having pissed Tulip off. Shouldn't he know what Tulip is going to do to try and run God down, or try and find some way of undoing what God has done, trying some way of freeing Jesse, which is what she does for the rest of the episode? I mean, as an all-father, as an all-knowing God, which he continually keeps saying in this sequence, he should know exactly what Tulip is going to do, having counted on her to screw up. Is he counting on her to screw up again? Is he intentionally egging her on? That would have a lot of larger implications behind it all. Yes, it's possible, but as Preacher goes, I would think that maybe he hasn't quite thought that far. Tulip surprises everyone. So, of course, yes, the rest of the episode for Tulip is trying to find another way of breaking the contract, the blood contract, as she later finds out talking with TC. Getting a look at his dingle. You know, when he says that, the first thing you're thinking is his dingle. But of course that can't be it. It's got to be something different. No. Ends up being his dingle. And TC is rather chiseled, I have to say. I mean, just from a respect standpoint. But again, I love that. I mean, I love kind of TC throughout this episode. Colin Cunningham, who plays him, of course, I remember him from Falling Skies, where he played Pope. And the guy's been around like forever. I love catching him. And really just such different characters, especially from Pope, the kind of hard ass, to TC, the kind of crazed Bayou guy. Is just, I love when actors can do such great range. And so I really was enjoying him this episode. We got to see a little bit more of his stuff. With Cass also, but a lot of the interplay there with Tulip. Who going to him for questions answered. I loved her going into Grandma Langelle's room and finding all of the blood contracts there. That was just, I found the one, and the other, and the other, and the drawer, after drawer, after drawer. Yeah, nothing that you could do. Also, drowning leaks in her bed. I'm assuming that is a colostomy bag or some fluid drainage that needs to happen. Also very gross. Do have one question though. Was that Swedish fish in the urn? Why would she have that? I mean, she does offer that, or Granny Langelle does offer the urn to Jesse later on there. It was just, I had to kind of rewind and look at that back because one, I don't know if I would eat anything that I found in Granny Langelle's room. I just wouldn't trust it. But Swedish fish, that's just an odd choice. but it's Preacher, so that makes sense. But we do get that great story from TC about breaking a blood contract, basically, that you can't, unless you have some magic, which probably plays into the whole Madame Boyd scene later on. But that was a great flashback scene of the gentleman who did try and buy back the contract, try and get his wife out of it, ends up paying a lot of money for an 89-cent napkin, as TC says, because the contract is not in the physical object, it is with Granny Langell. That is just a physical representation of, and probably a magic focus too, considering that she could squeeze it and make Jessie choke out the way that she did at the end of last episode. So there is definitely some physical focus, magic abilities that goes with it, but the contract itself is not in that physical object. Getting that isn't going to help. Tearing it up is only going to do physical damage to the person it's connected to. Therefore, burning it, which was Tulip's idea, that would probably end really, really badly. So, yeah. Nasty. Nasty. Great little story, but the girl torn in half, that was all a little gross. And TC, of course, ends up with a lizard on his dingle. I guess that does leave a statement, as probably Tulip wanted to. But that leads her to Madame Boyd's place, which is where everybody else seems to go inside of this parish. And we get that great little final scene. Obviously, this is playing out into our next episode. But we do find out that Madame Boyd is the young daughter, which I sort of suspected seeing that. You know, when they go into the dark room and the lady's all in shadows, it's the cute one that's already been asking you questions. That's why you don't need to say anything else. I did love also in that fight sequence when she jumps out the window to escape and they throw her right back in. Oh, that's perfect. And then, of course, with the introduction of Madame Boyd, I've been wanting to meet you. And then just, nice to meet you. That's Tulip. That's Tulip right there. You put her in her spot, she's going to kick your ass, still have a gun backed up. Even though, didn't she try and leave that in the car before she went out? I'm glad she pulled that back. Because she did. She put her phone down, she put the gun in, and pull it back out, and then put it back in. She's smart. She brought it in with her. Definitely going to be needed. Now, last week, Cass seemed to make friends with TC, or they were bonding over TC also having drugs, which is automatically a plus in Cass's book. And we are introduced to Nomura, the gas that numbs the pain and numbs the mind and makes you easily suggestible. Don't want to know what else TC's been using that for? Can probably guess. But that does lead Cass to talking a little bit too much, which is not a good thing to do in Angelville. And that, of course, gets us to this week's Scene of the Week, which is our little conversation between Cass and Jessie. I love this scene on multiple different levels. One, it's a little quieter. We just got our two kind of buds, our two bros reconnecting there. Look, Jessie really seemingly honestly reaching out to Cass, apologizing, trying to make things up, trying to clear the air. I mean, acknowledging that he is also a little upset, finding out in Cass and Tulip and all of those things. But I really think in this sequence he was trying to reconnect, especially just the admittance of, "You're my best friend." You've never said that before. And I was thinking back, I think Cass has said it to Jessie, but no, I don't think Jessie has said it back to Cass. I'd have to go through 2 seasons of the show just to be sure. But I'm just going to go with the moment that they're being correct right here. And that Jessie hasn't actually said those words to Cass. And I just love the little, again, great friendship back and forth. It's like, haven't I said it? No, you've never said it. Yes, I did. I'm sure I've said it. Even the admittance of, I don't have a good memory for these things. But I'm sure that I have said that. Admitting one's own personal faults. It's always a good sign. But so I really enjoyed that kind of little moment of like, are we good? Are we being honest? Yes, we have differences of opinion, but we're still bros, right? We're still buddies. We're best friends, right? So run, sucker, run! Get out of here! It was just such a perfect turnaround. Also, Cass immediately suspicious you just want to separate with Tulip, but no! And we did. We had the scene last week where we have Cass staring at the pictures and like, quizzically, these are not good scenes. These are not happy scenes on the wall of Angelville. And just remembering, oh, the guy on fire being hung till the sun comes up. Okay, this is a bad image, but no, it can't be anything like this. A vampire not believing in dangerous magic. That is one. But I mean, Jesse says there's a difference between magic and monsters. No, we're not calling you a monster, but just from a definition standpoint. But really, topping the scene off. So we get our bros connecting. We, of course, got the little split up. And Jesse, again, trying to honestly tell him, don't you know where you are? And if you're gonna stay, it's gonna hurt. In more ways than one. And I love, of course, where we get the title episode right here in this sequence, when Jesse stabs him back into the shoulder, because he can't heal. If he heals, they're going to know that he's a vampire. Being a vampire in Angelville is very bad. As he definitely finds out later on. But just that whole sequence right there, them trying to connect, it was funny, it was heartfelt, it was dangerous, it was appropriate. Just, again, so much stuff happening in that one scene. But Cass just can't stay away from the blood, just doesn't like the pain, certainly doesn't like holes in him. Now, wasn't TC bringing him some of the swamp consomme? No, I shouldn't have it because I know that I didn't know what's in it, but no, I really do want it. Of course he wants it. And that's like the perfect vampire snack. Was TC testing him that way, being so curious of why ain't you dead? So did he bring him any consomme? I don't think that he ended up doing it. Or did then Cass not drink it in order to keep himself from healing in front of TC? I would have to think it'd be a little bit more of the latter. Or no, because Tulip was gone for that little bit, so he wasn't distracted by showing her his dingle. So, yeah, I would have to kind of think that maybe that Cass just did not have any of the consomme, just intentionally tried to avoid that, to stay with the pain there. At least through the day, because at night he goes out chicken hunting and gets caught by TC. Great, nasty little scene. Beautiful lighting in that whole little bit, too. That green light in the background, the darkness. I mean, again, nice stuff. But that reveals his vampirism, which, again, in Angelville, not a smart thing to do. They're ready to hang him up and wait till the sun comes up. But thankfully, we got Jesse coming back and acknowledging opening up the tombs in order to save Cass's life. We got several discussions about the tombs in this episode, of course, at our Glue Sniffers Anonymous meeting. There's the glue, Dad! There's the fucking glue! Yeah, okay. That was wrong. That was a messed up scene. But here, as Jesse was trying to recruit people in for Granny L'Angel, get them in, get some more bodies in, get some people not paying their debts so souls can be coming in. This is the machine that they're working. But he doesn't care about going to Grandma L'Angel for a spell in order to avoid a sobriety spell. But when the tombs was mentioned, or when he brought up the tombs, Granny L'Angel's, are the tombs opened? That got the attention. So that was our first little introduction. Then, of course, Granny L'Angel talking with Jesse, also giving the option of you could always open up the tombs. So we can tell throughout the episode that this was another big thing. Didn't know what it was until, of course, the end. And the tombs are monster fights. Your soulless there that are being kept down in the bottom, in the tombs, set to fight to the death. Though I guess physical death, their souls are already gone, and maybe that's a surprise thing for the souls? No, I wouldn't think there'd be anything like that. There doesn't seem to be anything good coming out of that. But it's basically our voodoo gladiatorial battles, in effect. Bringing out the science teacher, the pedo science teacher, versus the betrayed vampire, going at each other. So this is going to be another way that Jesse can potentially get out of his debt. Not just bringing in people to make deals, to make contracts, to purchase spells from Granny Langell, but the people coming in that want to see the battles to the death. Is that going to bring in money? Is there going to be betting? Is that one way that comes in? Or through that, do we get other people that, I don't know, might fight vampires or monsters or soulless or whatever in order to gain cash where they make deals? Is that another way to get souls in? For Granny Langell, she seemed happy either way. That Jesse could either bring people in for the deals or open up the tombs. Either one's going to bring in money, either one's going to bring in people, and in some way that is definitely going to be bringing in souls for Granny Langell. Alright, just a couple of small things. First off, over at Madame Boyd's, they're also taking souls, though it seems to be more of a payment. The Bank of the Bayou was the writing on the side of that case, and they're doing it the scientific way, just like the Japanese did it last season. They seem to have the machinery to be able to take out just a small part of a soul and be able to use that as payment. And is this thus the new versus the old? Granny Langell, they could just take whole souls. That's the only way that she and her machine and her magic works. Whereas Madame Boyd has the more of the newer technological connection. She can use payment over partial souls. Still very powerful, but people can still live. You'll barely notice it's missing, I believe, is she told the first person as Tulip walked into the office. So, yeah, wasn't that the same thing that Jesse was told and that everyone else was told with the Japanese? Take a small part, you'll barely miss it. Still a part of your soul. Definitely powerful. What do you think that phone in Granny Langell's room called? What do you want? I don't think she's calling upstairs. Is she calling downstairs? I was kind of surprised that Jesse tried to ask Jody to help him get out from under Granny Langell. Now I'm sure that Jesse's just sort of desperate, but I don't know, Tulip also brought up a smart point. This is the man that killed your father and also brought your mother back, and other bad things happened. We don't really know specifically, but it wasn't good. So really asking Jody for help does seem a bit of a surprise. But not getting that help, that wasn't a surprise. All right, now Cass did go to Granny Langell looking for a love spell. I am not leaving without her, without Tulip. Now, he did leave with something, but was it a love spell or love spray? Love banaka? Not sure. Because Granny seemed to be starting no. When Cass asked, I'm not leaving without her, and he says no. And Cass seemed to look very sad and disappointed by that response. But was Granny saying, no, you can't have the spell, or no, you're not leaving without her? An acknowledgement of his position. So, kind of curious. Of course, she doesn't tell anything about that to Jesse, but would she? She wants to use that as a bit of manipulative knowledge for later on. That's a lot more likely. So, I'm not sure if Cass actually left with a love spell. It certainly didn't seem to go directly after Tulip or look for Tulip afterwards. So, kind of curious what that is. Now, I know Cassidy thought that Jesse was just sort of lying to him about being his best friend in order to get him out. But I don't think that's actually the case. I think Jesse, I mentioned before, was very truthful about him. I think he does see Cass as his best friend. And the reason being is he is still protecting him throughout the episode. I mean, he stabs him in the chest, saying that if you're going to stay, it's going to hurt. You're going to have to live through this and not give away your vampirism because it's Angelville. And then once Cassidy is caught, Jesse opens up the tomb, something, again, he seemed to be very much avoiding doing from any statement from either the people that he was trying to pull in for Mama Langell or for Mama Langell herself, that the tombs was not something that he wanted to deal with. And yet, to save Cassidy's life, he does. Well, I think he has full faith in Cassidy to be able to beat that, kick ass out of anyone that's down there. Certainly the pedo science teacher. But otherwise, he's being pulled out into the sun. Is he going to earn his freedom? Probably not. That doesn't seem to be an Angelville thing. But at the very least, he's not going to be killed. He will buy time. Yes, he will have to fight for his life, probably several times. But I think Jesse has confidence that he can do it, and that buys time for them to find a way out from under Granny Langell and thus get Cass out of the tomb. So, yes, opening the tombs, I think, proves that Cassidy is Jesse's best friend, and he'll do what he has to do to protect him. All right, so I think that wraps things up for this week. Now, next week, looks like we got a couple of things going on. Of course, Tulip and Madame Boyd. What's going to happen with that? Cassidy fighting down in the tombs, and it looks like we get to jump down to hell. Maybe meet the big guy himself and see what is going on down there with the Saint. And hopefully soon we'll find out what's going on with Hitler too. I'm kind of curious what that guy's doing. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you enjoyed this review, please go ahead and hit that like button. Thoughts, ideas, and comments, put them down in the section below. You can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Darren Jakes. Please subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Quick, easy one-button hit to catch all these reviews, plus a few extras. Did a big Season 3 expansion review. I'll throw it up over here, over at Enchantment of Eternity. And something else here you can check out. So, that's going to be it for me. I'm D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.